Hello everyone, my name is Charlie and welcome back to a brand new Doctor Who YouTube video. So recently I obviously did my channel update and I rebranded my channel and announced loads of new videos that would be coming in 2021. But we're at that weird impasse between sort of Christmas and New Year, so I thought since it was recently Christmas and I did get a few more Doctor Who DVDs, why not do a brief collection update towards the end of December 2020, right before Revolution of the Daleks is released, which is the New Year special coming in 2 days time. I can't wait. So yes, without further ado, I suppose let's get on with this this DVD collection update. So I won't be going into too much detail about each story because I have quite a lot of them now, to be honest. You know, it's definitely not a complete collection, there's loads of Classic Who, but overall, you know, I have at least, I think it's 42 or 43 stories now, so yeah, quite a few. So I'll just give a brief score out of 10 and say a couple of my opinions about it and then move on. So without further ado, let's get into this video, and I hope you enjoy. So, first up, we have An Unearthly Child, the very first story of Doctor Who ever. I have seen all of this, and some people say only part 1 is good and the rest is quite bad. I like all of it. I'd give this a solid 8.5 out of 10. Quite an average score for most Doctor Who episodes, to be honest. The Daleks, most people say this gets quite tedious towards the middle. Again, I disagree, and I'd say actually the first part is actually quite boring, and the later parts, parts like 3 to 7 are much better. I'd give this probably a 9 actually, it's quite a good story. Third, we have The Edge of Destruction. This came as part of the beginning box set. I've not heard a whole lot about this story. It's one of the slightly more obscure ones. It's only got 2 parts, which is quite strange, but I think, they're okay. Not brilliant, not terrible. I'd give them like a 7.5 out of 10. Definitely not bad. They do have good things about them. Next up, The Keys of Marinus, the 5th Doctor Who story ever, and this was kind of the inspiration for the Key to Time storyline, which is season 16. I'll get on to that in a few minutes. Overall, I really like this, to be honest. It's actually a really good story. I'd probably give this a 9.5 out of 10. It's definitely my favourite First Doctor story that I've seen. Next up, we have The Aztecs. I got this a few days ago on Christmas Day, and I haven't watched it yet. However, I've heard some pretty good things about this. So yes, I haven't obviously got a score yet, but I'll be sure to give you one when I have watched it. I'm going to do a review on it at some point this year. Well, the coming year. Next up, my final First Doctor story, The Dalek Invasion of Earth. So it's quite a leap to season 2. I have seen this, actually, and I'd probably give this an 8.5 out of 10, just like An Unearthly Child. I've heard some very good things about this, however. I like pretty much every part of this except the actual Daleks themselves. They're not that scary, and they're very easily defeated, and their reveal wasn't that great. So that's the only thing that's actually dragging it down for me, the Daleks themselves. So next up we have My Only Animation. I got this for Christmas. My sister gave this to me for Christmas a few days ago, and I haven't seen it yet. But I've heard some extremely good things about this being, like the best animation or something like that. So I'm actually really excited to watch this. I probably will at some point when I finish Robot, maybe. But yes, it's really good. Next up, we have another Second Doctor story, The Tomb of the Cybermen Special Edition. I got this from one of the Revisitations box sets that Doctor Who have done recently, and I have watched it, and it's incredible. It is literally, it's probably one of my favourite Classic Who stories ever. I'd give this a 10 out of 10. It is just amazing, and it shows how brilliant the Second Doctor is. Ooh. There we go. Next up, The Enemy of the World, Special Edition. Overall, yeah, this is pretty good. Most people say it's really good. I wouldn't go that far. I'd give this probably a 9 out of 10, but most people give it 9.5 and 10 and say it's absolutely amazing. There are some things about it that drag it down very slightly, so it is a bit overrated, but I still really like it, and it does show how amazing the Second Doctor can be, as well as how good an actor Patrick Troughton is, because obviously he plays hero and villain in the story, which is actually really fun to watch. So yes, a solid 9 out of 10. Okay, next up, Spearhead from Space. I've got the Special Edition, and the Special Edition is shown on screen. Yeah, this is actually one of the very early Classic Who stories I've watched. This was the 3rd one I ever watched, so, it kind of gave me a foundation of knowledge for Classic Who in a sense. This is where everything seemed to change. The Third Doctor was exiled, he's got a new companion, the Brigadier's now promoted to regular character, and we've got the Autons introduced, so there's a lot going on. And it manages that really well across 4 episodes. It's quite a small scale episode, especially in the sense that, you know, they're only on Earth for this one, as opposed to loads of other stories in the second Doctor's era. But yeah, this is actually really good and actually really enjoyable. I'd probably give this a 9 out of 10, but only just a 9. Like, I wouldn't go any further beyond that, it's only just a 9. Next up, second story of Season 7, one of the only seasons I've actually got the entirety of. Doctor Who and the Silurians. So this is actually a slightly strange title, because it's Doctor Who and the Silurians rather than just the Silurians, but either way, it's actually quite good. I'd give this probably an 8.5 out of 10. It's probably my least favourite from the series, but still a very good story. Next up, The Ambassadors of Death, my favourite Classic Who story I have watched so far. It's just amazing, I really like it. The third Doctor's awesome, 10 out of 10. Next up, Inferno, my second favourite story of Season 7, and it deserves its place there. It's a really good story. Again, I'd probably give this a 10 out of 10. It's probably, you know, definitely in my top 5 Classic Who stories I've seen. Yeah, it's pretty awesome, especially with the whole parallel Earth thing. It's pretty awesome. Next up, a Series 8 story. I've got this long stretch of episodes that kind of interlink. The Mind of Evil. Sorry, not Mind of Evil. Terror of the Autons. So, Terror of the Autons is an interesting story. I saw this first and I really didn't like it. I saw it again and I liked it, and I've actually seen it for a third time now, and I think it's just okay. I'd probably give this a 7 out of 10. It's definitely my least favourite story so far. Yeah, it's not amazing, but there's still some pretty good things. The Autons are alright, and we obviously get the best master, in my opinion, in the form of Roger Delgado there, and there on screen. Yeah, this is, it's not the best, but it's alright. Next up, we have The Mind of Evil, another Series 8 story. I'd give this probably an 8 out of 10. Again, it's not amazing. Series 8 definitely isn't as good as Series 7. However, it's still got its good parts. You know, the plot is generally actually really interesting. And Joe Grant, as a companion, is really good. And Roger Delgado as a master, again, is amazing. Yeah, it's pretty good. Next up, The Demons. 6.5 out of 10. I saw this first time, I loved it. After a rewatch, I really don't like it. I think it's actually incredibly overrated, and it's not that good. It's got some interesting themes and ideas, but it just doesn't present them the best. The effects are terrible, and the third Doctor, just something about him in the story doesn't really click with me, in the sense that a lot of his others do. However, we do have another Series 10 story from the third Doctor here, and it's The Three Doctors, a multi-Doctor story. I got this from the Revisitations box set, along with Tomb of the Cybermen and Robots of Death. It's okay. I'd probably give this an 8.5 out of 10, just like a lot of stories I have actually today. Yeah, it's a pretty average, well, you know, who am I kidding? It's actually quite a good story. Yeah, it's pretty good. Omega's pretty awesome, and we get to see some of Gallifrey, and, you know, all 3 of the first Doctors come together. It's pretty cool. Next up, we have The Time Warrior, the first Doctor Who story I ever saw, and that's kind of what got me hooked on Classic Who, not all of Doctor Who. I saw all of New Who first. But anyway, this is actually really good, and yeah, I like it. I'd probably give this a 9.5 out of 10. It's actually really, really good. Next up, we have a 4th Doctor story, in fact, the very first 4th Doctor story, Robot. I'd probably give this a... Well, actually, I've only seen the first 3 episodes. I've not seen the 4th yet, but so far, I'd probably give this like a 7.5 out of 10. It's not amazing, but it's not terrible either. Next up, Genesis of the Daleks. Quite overrated. Probably give this a 7 out of 10 if I'm being generous. It's actually not all that great in my opinion. Right, I'm going to start speeding things up because I'm already 9 minutes into this video. Pyramids of Mars. Not seen yet. I got this one for Christmas. Looking forward to watch it though. The Deadly Assassin. I have seen this as an awesome sort of Gallifreyan conspiracy one, and yeah, I'd give this a definite like 9 out of 10. This is pretty good. Robots of Death. Haven't seen yet, so I can't really comment on it, but I've heard some very good things about this, so I'm guessing it's going to be quite good. It sounds like my kind of story as well. I do really like base under siege stories. Okay, Key to Time, a series I've got the entirety of. Rebus Operation, or Ribos. I haven't seen it yet, to be honest. I've heard some pretty good things about it, though. Sorry, I've not seen all of the Key to Time. I'm going to get around to it at some point, you know, in the coming year, though. Pirate Planet, I've heard some great things about, but haven't seen. Stones of Blood, I've heard this is the only Key to Time story set on Earth, and it's supposed to be like a sort of historical. Yeah, I haven't really seen it yet, though. I've heard some alright things about it, though. Androids of Tara, again, I've heard some pretty good things about, so I'm looking forward to watching that. And next up we have the Power of Kroll. Oh, what's going on with this? Sorry. There we go. Key to time. Power of Kroll. I've heard some not amazing things about this, unfortunately. I'm still looking forward to watching it, though. Still a Doctor Who episode. However, I fear I won't like this as much as the rest of the Key to Time stories. Next up, the final story, the Armageddon Factor. I've heard some very mixed things about this, so I'm quite curious to go into this story to see, you know, what I think of it, because I've heard some good things and I've heard some bad things about it, so I'm not too sure. Okay, next up we got the E-Space Trilogy. I've not seen any of this as well, in the forms of Full Circle, State of Decay, and Warrior's Gate. I've heard some not amazing things about this trilogy, to be honest, and the whole of Season 18 in general. I've heard some not very nice things about the season at all, so I'm quite wary going into the season, but I'm hoping that I'll like it, I always do. Okay, next up we have the New Beginnings trilogy. I got this as a box set as well, actually thanks to another Doctor Who channel who is selling them called EMS Productions. I'd definitely go and check them out. This is in the form of Keeper of Traken. I've seen this trilogy, by the way. I'd probably give Keeper of Traken, say, a 7.5 out of 10. Logopolis, a 6 out of 10. I don't think it's that great. And Castrovalva, a 9.5 out of 10. I love Castrovalva for some reason, and I don't even know why. I don't really see many things as to why it's so good. I just really like it. Next up, EARTHSHOCK, another 5th Doctor story. I have seen this and it's amazing. 10 out of 10. My favourite 5th Doctor story. My favourite 80s story, actually. It's really good. Next up we have the Trial of a Time Lord. I haven't seen any of this, but it's the entirety of Season 23. We have the Mysterious Planet, Mind Warp, Terror of the Vervoids, and The Ultimate Foe. I've heard some very mixed things about the season, and I actually can't wait to watch it just so I can see what my opinion on it is, because I think the Doctor Who fandom is split down the middle as to who likes it and who doesn't like the season, so I'm quite curious. Next up we have my 2 7th Doctor stories, Remembrance of the Daleks. I've seen this, I'd probably give it a 9.5 out of 10, it's absolutely amazing. And Survival, I got this for Christmas, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm looking forward to it. I've heard it's quite a good story. Next up, just my last little bits of New Who and the spin-offs. We have the complete 9th series. This is a pretty good series overall. It's got the main series, all 12 episodes, plus Last Christmas and The Husbands of River Song, the Christmas specials. And we've got this nice little sort of book with all the discs in it. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's probably my least favourite Capaldi season, but it's still alright. Next up we've got Season 10, my second favourite New Who series of all time after Season 7. I love Season 7. Anyway, yeah, this is awesome. We got Part 1 there with the first 6 episodes, and Part 2 with the second 6 episodes. This is a really good season, to be honest. I love it so much. And finally, we have the Sarah Jane Adventures, Season 1, which I don't actually think is amazing. It's definitely aimed at people younger than myself, but yeah, it's okay. It's sort of like a fun, weird sort of version of Doctor Who, and I kind of like it. So there you go, that's my DVD collection so far. As you can see, it has definitely expanded since my last DVD collection. And yes, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit the like button, and if you want more content like this on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and yes, that will be the main days for my YouTube videos, then just click the subscribe button. I would really appreciate it, and it would be amazing if I could get to 100 subscribers by the end of April 2021. That's my aim. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you on the 1st of January with my Revolution of the Daleks review. So I will see you then, and goodbye.